What Jesus asked me after death wasn't about my success. It was about how much love I received and how little I gave back. I was 39 when I died, and I was asked a question I couldn't answer. My name is Rebecca Ann Holloway. I lived in a city called Thornfield, where autumn turned the streets gold, and winter came early, and life moved fast enough that you never had to stop and think too hard. It was November 18th, 2023, at 7:32 in the morning. My heart stopped for 12 minutes. 12 minutes where I stood before something so vast, so beautiful, so terrifying, that I fell to my knees and begged for another chance. Before we go any further, I need you to do something with me. Right now. Close your eyes, take a slow breath, and whisper the word light. Just once, softly, like you're calling out to something you've lost but never forgotten. If you feel anything stir inside you, anything at all, then stay, because what I'm about to tell you might change everything. The light still speaks, and when I died, it asked me a question that shattered me. I was a marketing executive, successful, driven, the kind of woman who wore heels that clicked confidently down corporate hallways and answered emails at midnight and measured her worth in promotions and paychecks. I worked for a tech company in the city, climbing the ladder one strategic move at a time. I was good at my job. Great, even. I knew how to sell anything to anyone. I knew how to make people want things they didn't need. I knew how to craft messages that bypassed logic and went straight to desire. And I was proud of it. My apartment was sleek and modern, all glass and steel and minimalist furniture that cost more than most people's cars. Everything had its place. Everything was controlled. I lived alone. By choice, I told myself. I'd been married once, briefly, in my 20s. His name was Jonathan. He was kind and patient and wanted children and a house in the suburbs and Sunday mornings reading the paper together. I wanted corner offices and business class flights and my name on projects that mattered. We divorced after 3 years, no drama. Just two people who wanted different things. He remarried, had 2 kids. I saw the photos on social media sometimes. They looked happy. I told myself I didn't care. My parents lived 2 hours away in the town where I grew up. Small, quiet, suffocating. I visited twice a year, Christmas and my mother's birthday. Obligatory visits where we sat in their living room, making small talk about weather and work and nothing that mattered. My father would ask when I was going to settle down. My mother would show me pictures of friends' grandchildren with hope in her eyes, and I would smile politely and leave as soon as it was acceptable. I had friends, or people I called friends, colleagues I had drinks with after work, acquaintances I met for brunch and talked about travel plans and Netflix shows, but no one who really knew me, no one I trusted with the parts of myself I kept hidden. The loneliness, the fear that maybe I'd chosen wrong, the nights I lay awake wondering if this was all there was. I filled the silence with noise, with work, with shopping, with scrolling through my phone until my eyes blurred, with wine that tasted expensive and made me feel sophisticated and helped me sleep. I told myself I was happy. I told myself I was living my best life. I told myself that people who settled for less just lacked ambition. But deep down, in the places I didn't let myself look, I knew I was lying. November 18th started like every other Monday. My alarm went off at 5:30. I hit the gym by 6, 45 minutes on the treadmill watching the news with my earbuds in, showered, dressed in a gray suit that cost more than my first car. Grabbed a coffee from the place on the corner where they knew my order before I walked in. Drove to the office listening to a podcast about maximizing productivity. I had a presentation at 9, a big one, a potential client worth millions. I'd rehearsed it a dozen times. I knew every slide, every data point, every emotional beat designed to make them say yes. I was ready, confident, in control. I pulled into the parking garage at 7:15. The concrete structure was dim and cold. I could see my breath. I grabbed my bag and my coffee and started walking toward the elevator. And that's when the pain hit. Not gradual, instant, like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed my heart in a fist. The coffee fell from my hand. I heard the cup hit the ground, heard the liquid splash across concrete. I tried to call for help, but no sound came. I fell to my knees. The world tilted. I saw the fluorescent lights above me flickering. I saw my reflection in a car window, pale and terrified. I thought, this can't be happening. Not now. Not when I'm so close. And then I thought nothing at all. The darkness came like water closing over my head. But it wasn't cold or frightening. It was soft, gentle, like being held by something infinite. I couldn't feel my body anymore, couldn't feel the concrete or the pain or the fear. I was weightless, floating, free. And then I saw light, not harsh or blinding, but warm, golden. It started as a pinpoint in the distance and grew, expanded, became everything. And I realized I was standing, or something like standing. I had form, but not flesh, presence, but not weight. And I was not alone. There was something with me. Someone. I couldn't see a face or a body, but I felt presence, overwhelming, ancient, loving. It radiated light and warmth, and a knowing that saw everything I'd ever done, every thought I'd ever had, every secret I'd ever kept. And it didn't turn away. It came closer. The presence wrapped around me like arms I couldn't see, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Decades, maybe. I felt seen, truly seen. Not the version of myself I showed the world, not the polished, professional, successful Rebecca, but the real me, the scared me, the lonely me, the me who'd spent 39 years building walls and calling it strength. I wanted to speak, to ask where I was, what was happening, but I had no voice. So I thought the words instead. Am I dead? The presence responded not with sound but with knowing. Truth poured directly into my consciousness. Your body has failed. Your heart has stopped. But you are not gone. Not yet. You stand in the space between. And there is something you must see, something you must understand. I felt fear then, real fear. Not of the presence, but of what it might show me, what it might ask of me. But the presence held me steady, gentle but firm. You have lived 39 years, Rebecca. And I have one question for you. The light around me shifted, became brighter, more focused. And then I heard it. Not words, but a question that resonated through every fiber of my being. What did you do with the love I gave you? I opened my mouth to answer, but found I had none. The question hung in the air between us, heavy and terrible and true. What did I do with the love I was given? I thought about my life, my career, my apartment, my achievements, my success. And I realized with crushing clarity that none of it was an answer. None of it mattered. The presence waited, patient, infinite, and I had nothing to say. Then it showed me the first vision. I saw myself at 25, fresh out of business school, hungry, ambitious. I saw Jonathan proposing, saw the ring, saw the hope in his eyes, and I saw myself calculating, weighing the cost, wondering if love was worth the sacrifice of everything I wanted to achieve. I saw myself say yes, even though I was already planning my exit. I saw our wedding, small, practical, my parents crying with joy, Jonathan looking at me like I was his whole world, and I saw myself thinking about the promotion I'd been promised, about the corner office, about the life I wanted that didn't include him. I watched our marriage crumble in fast forward, the late nights I chose work over him, the conversations I avoided, the distance I created. I saw him trying, saw him reaching out again and again, saw him suggest counseling, date nights, trying for a baby, and I saw myself shut down every attempt. Too busy, too focused, too important. I watched him give up, watched the light fade from his eyes, watched him pack his things and leave quietly while I was on a business trip, and I saw myself feel relief. The presence spoke again, gently but firmly. He loved you, fully, freely, without conditions, and you rejected it. not because it wasn't real, but because it required something you weren't willing to give: yourself. I wanted to defend myself, to explain that I had dreams, goals, ambitions. But the presence already knew, and it showed me the second vision. I saw my parents, growing older, my father's hair turning white, my mother's hands beginning to shake. I saw them sitting at their kitchen table on holidays, setting an extra plate for me, hoping I'd come. I saw them calling me, leaving voicemails I rarely returned, texting me photos and updates about their lives that I acknowledged with single-word responses. I saw my mother in a hospital room 2 years ago, a scare, high blood pressure. She'd asked me to come. I'd sent flowers instead. Too busy with a product launch, too important to take time off. I saw her crying quietly when my father told her I couldn't make it, and I saw him hold her, his own disappointment carefully hidden. I watched them age, watched them slow down, watched them need me in small ways: help with technology, company during doctor's appointments, someone to talk to on long evenings. And I watched myself stay away, visit twice a year, stay for a few hours, leave as quickly as I could. The presence's voice was soft now. They gave you life, nurtured you, loved you unconditionally, and you gave them crumbs, the bare minimum. You told yourself you were too busy, but the truth is, you chose not to make time. Because their love asked nothing of you except presence, and presence was the one thing you couldn't give. The third vision broke me. I saw people from my life, colleagues, friends, acquaintances. I saw a woman named Sarah who'd worked in my department, bright, talented, struggling. She'd come to me once, asked for advice, for mentorship. I saw myself look at her as competition, as a threat. I saw myself give her vague, useless advice, saw myself subtly undermine her in meetings. Take credit for her ideas. Watch her confidence crumble. I saw her leave the company 6 months later. I saw a friend from college named Michelle who'd reached out after her divorce, needed someone to talk to, needed support. I saw the text messages, saw myself read them and never respond, too busy, too uncomfortable with other people's mess. I saw her struggle alone. I saw a homeless man outside my office building who asked me for help every morning for 3 years. I saw myself walk past him every single day without making eye contact, without acknowledging his existence. I saw neighbors in my building I'd never spoken to, a barista who knew my coffee order but whose name I'd never learned, a janitor who cleaned my office every night who I'd never once thanked. I saw a world full of people I'd looked through instead of at, people I'd used or ignored or dismissed because they couldn't help me climb higher. The presence let me see it all. Every missed opportunity to love, every moment I'd chosen myself over someone else, every time I'd been given a chance to be kind and chosen to be efficient instead. And then the question came again, louder this time, inescapable. What did you do with the love I gave you? I fell to my knees in that infinite space. I had no answer, no defense, no justification. I'd been given love, so much love, from Jonathan, from my parents, from people who'd tried to connect with me, and I'd hoarded it, used it, discarded it. I'd treated love like a transaction, something to accept when convenient and reject when costly. I'd spent 39 years taking and never giving, receiving and never returning. And I'd called it success, called it strength, called it living my best life. But it was just selfishness, just fear, just emptiness dressed up in expensive clothes. I wept. Tears I couldn't feel but knew were pouring from a place deeper than my body had ever reached. I'm sorry, I tried to say. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't see. The presence moved closer. You knew, Rebecca. You always knew. You just chose not to look, chose not to feel, chose not to risk the vulnerability that real love requires. And then it showed me the fourth vision. I saw what my life would have been if I'd chosen differently. I saw myself saying yes to Jonathan, really saying yes. I saw us in a small house with a yard. Saw 2 children running through rooms filled with laughter. Saw Sunday mornings making pancakes. Saw ordinary, beautiful, messy life. I saw myself visiting my parents every month, sitting with them, listening to their stories, being present for their aging. Holding my mother's hand during doctor's appointments, helping my father fix things around their house. I saw myself mentoring Sarah, championing her, watching her succeed. I saw myself stopping to talk to the homeless man, learning his name was David, bringing him coffee, helping him find resources, maybe even helping him get back on his feet. I saw myself building real friendships, opening up, being vulnerable, letting people in. I saw a life that was smaller by the world's standards, but infinitely richer. A life filled with connection, with meaning, with love given and received. The presence spoke one more time. This is what you could have had. This is what you chose to miss. And the weight of it crushed me. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I could only feel the devastating loss of a life I'd thrown away. A life I'd traded for promotions and corner offices and things that meant nothing at all. Please. I found myself begging. Please. I didn't understand. I didn't know. Give me another chance. Let me go back. Let me do it differently. The presence was silent, still, and I panicked. I can't stay here knowing what I missed. I can't carry this. Please. I'll change. I'll be different. I'll choose love. I'll give instead of take. I'll show up. I'll be present. I'll stop running. Please, just let me try again. The silence stretched. Endless. Unbearable. And then finally, the presence spoke. Why should I send you back, Rebecca? You had 39 years. You made your choices. Why do you deserve another chance? And I had no answer except the truth. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve anything, but I'm begging anyway. Not because I've earned it, but because I finally see, I finally understand. And I can't bear the thought of never being able to make it right, never being able to love the way I was meant to love. The light around me pulsed, warm, considering. And then I heard the most beautiful words I'd ever heard. One more chance, Rebecca. Not because you deserve it, but because love gives what is not deserved. That is what makes it love. But understand this, if you go back, everything will be different. The life you knew is over. The person you were is gone. You will lose much of what you valued, and you will gain everything you missed. Are you willing? Yes, I said without hesitation. Yes. Whatever it costs. Yes. Then go, the present said, and remember what you learned here. Remember the question. What did you do with the love I gave you? Let that question guide every choice, every moment, every relationship. Love wastefully. Give recklessly. Show up completely, because love is the only thing you take with you when you leave. The only thing that matters in the space between life and death. Everything else is smoke. The light began to fade, and I felt the pull. The terrible, violent pull back into flesh and bone and pain. No, wait, I tried to say. I'm not ready. I don't know how. But the presence was already pushing me away, back toward the darkness, back toward my body. One last thing, it whispered. Tell them. Tell them about the question. Tell them not to wait until they're standing here to realize what matters. Tell them to choose love now, while there's still time. And then I was falling, rushing back through space and time. I heard voices, urgent, afraid. I heard someone shouting clear. I felt electricity jolt through my chest, once, twice, 3 times, and then air, burning, searing, filling my lungs. I gasped, coughed, opened my eyes. I was staring at fluorescent lights, at faces hovering over me, paramedics, EMTs. Someone was saying, "Welcome back. You gave us quite a scare." But I wasn't back. Not really. Part of me was still in that light, still hearing that question, still feeling the weight of everything I'd wasted. I spent a week in the hospital. Tests, monitoring, stents placed in arteries that had nearly killed me. My parents came, sat beside my bed, held my hands. And for the first time in years, I really looked at them, saw my father's age, my mother's worry, the love in their eyes that had always been there, waiting for me to notice. "I'm sorry," I said, "for everything, for staying away, for being so distant. I love you." My mother cried. My father squeezed my hand. "We love you too, sweetheart. We always have." Jonathan came too, heard about my heart attack through mutual friends, brought flowers, sat awkwardly in the chair by my bed. He looked older, tired, but kind, still kind. "I'm sorry," I told him, "for how I treated you, for wasting what you offered me." He nodded slowly. "I've forgiven you, Rebecca. Years ago. I hope you can forgive yourself." When I was released, I went home to my sleek apartment, looked around at all the expensive, empty things, and I knew I couldn't stay. Within a month, I'd quit my job, sold most of my possessions, moved to a smaller place, closer to my parents. I started volunteering at a homeless shelter, met David, the man I'd walked past for 3 years, learned his story, helped him apply for housing, watched him slowly rebuild his life. I reconnected with old friends, real friends. Had long, honest conversations about life and loss and what really matters. I started saying yes to invitations, to coffee dates, to helping people move, to showing up for birthdays and celebrations and hard days. I reached out to Sarah, found her working at another company, took her to lunch, apologized, offered genuine support and mentorship, watched her blossom. I started calling my parents every day, not out of obligation, out of love. I visited every week, helped my mother in the garden, sat with my father while he worked in his shop, asked them about their lives, their dreams, their fears, really listened to their answers. I started dating again, not looking for perfection or someone who fit my ambitions, looking for connection, for kindness, for someone who understood that love is a choice you make every day. I met someone, a teacher named Marcus, divorced, 2 kids, steady, real. We take it slow. We talk about hard things. We show up for each other. We're learning to build something true. It's been 3 years now since I died, since I was asked the question that changed everything. And I still ask it every day. What am I doing with the love I've been given? Am I hoarding it, wasting it? Or am I pouring it out? I'm not perfect. I still slip into old patterns sometimes, still catch myself being selfish or distant or too focused on things that don't matter. But now I notice. Now I course correct. Now I choose differently. I've lost a lot. The career, the status, the salary, the apartment, things that once defined me. But I've gained everything: connection, meaning, purpose, joy, real, deep, unshakable joy that comes from loving and being loved, from showing up, from being present, from giving instead of taking. I carry the question with me like a compass. When I'm faced with a choice, when I don't know what to do, I ask it. What will I do with the love I've been given in this moment? Will I share it, multiply it, or squander it? And the answer always comes. Always points me toward the person who needs me, the conversation that matters, the moment that counts. For a moment, I stood between heaven and earth, and I was asked a question I couldn't answer, but I was given another chance. Not because I deserved it, but because love gives what is not deserved. And I came back determined to spend the rest of my life answering that question differently. What will you do with the love you've been given? Not someday. Not when you have more time or more resources or more clarity. Today. Right now. In this moment. With the people in front of you. With the opportunities you've been given. With the breath in your lungs and the beat in your heart. Will you hoard it, protect it, save it for when it's convenient? Or will you pour it out, give it away, risk it, waste it on people who might not deserve it, or appreciate it or return it. Because that's what love does. It gives without guarantees. It shows up without assurances. It risks everything for the possibility of connection. And it's the only thing that matters when your heart stops and you stand in that light and you're asked to account for how you spent your days. I was asked a question, and I begged for another chance to answer it. You're being asked the same question right now. What are you doing with the love you've been given? Look around. Who needs you? Who's been trying to reach you? Who have you been avoiding or ignoring or taking for granted? Your parents, your children, your spouse, your friends, the stranger on the street, the colleague struggling alone, the neighbor you've never spoken to. They're all opportunities to answer the question. To choose love over fear, connection over comfort, presence over productivity. Don't wait until you're dying to realize what matters. Don't wait until you're standing in that light with nothing to say. Choose now. Choose today. Choose to love wastefully, give recklessly, show up completely. Choose to be vulnerable and messy and real instead of polished and protected and alone. Because when your heart stops, and it will stop someday, the only thing that will matter is how you loved. Not how much you achieved or accumulated or accomplished, just how you loved. And if you can't answer that question now, if you can't point to the people you've blessed and the lives you've touched and the love you've given, then it's time to change. Right now, today, this moment. If this story reached your soul, write light below. Not for me, but to show that the light still speaks. Subscribe and stay in this journey, because the next story might be the one written for you. I'm telling you this not to scare you, but to wake you up, to shake you out of the comfortable numbness we all fall into, the busyness, the distractions, the endless pursuit of things that don't matter. I'm telling you because I stood in that light and I had nothing to say. And I don't want that for you. I want you to live in such a way that when you're asked what you did with the love you were given, you have 1,000 stories, 1,000 moments, 1,000 choices where you picked love over everything else. Start today. Call someone you've been meaning to call. Visit someone you've been meaning to visit. Forgive someone you've been holding a grudge against. Help someone you've been walking past. Be present with someone you've been distancing from. Choose love, not because it's easy, but because it's the only thing that lasts, the only thing that crosses over, the only thing that matters in the space between life and death, and the only thing that will make your one beautiful, brief, precious life worth living. The light is still speaking. It's asking you the question right now. What will you do with the love you've been given? Choose wisely. Choose quickly. Choose love, because time is shorter than you think, and love is all that remains.